I've lived 1,000 lives. I've piloted 1,000 souls. I've killed and fought and died just for another role.
This is the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, a roundtable discussion that's a mix of friendship, humor, unbridled enthusiasm, and tabletop RPG topics sent in from around the world.
Just for another role.
Hello, and welcome to season 36, episode 3 of the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. My name is Kimmy.
I'm Pooja.
And in today's episode, oh my, we're a little quiet tonight. Let me boost us. And in today's episode, Thomas in Denmark asks about ethically using AI as a GM. Eric from New Jersey asks for advice on how to tell appropriation from appreciation at the RPG table. And from the archive 2018, Terry in Idaho talks about his dream campaign idea. If you'd like to contribute a question or story to the show, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. Or you can post in the mailbag channel of the Discord. Announcements. We had a few weeks ago our amazing JackerCon. I want to shout out Verk, who did amazing work on that. I'm sorry, I meant to do it last week, but I was sick last week and I wasn't able to do it, so I wanted to do it myself. So thank you to Verk and the whole JackerCon High Council, who just, like, every year they do an amazing event. It was fantastic. There were a bunch of games that were run for over a week. Thank you to everyone who ran a game or played in the game, or a game, because there were a bunch of them. They were amazing varieties. We really, really appreciate it. And yeah, it's just always a really great time. And it's always great to see the community come together. Reminder, if you haven't joined the Discord, that's totally fine. I get it. It's not for everybody. But the Discord does have community play days and a really great community play culture. So people run their own games and find players.
And it's a great place to talk about games in general and about other systems and other things that you love. It's we have a great community in there, and it's good to see.
Yeah, and it's building so well. Our next game days, which are like our small version, JackerCon's like a full. It started as a weekend, and now they were real. This week they were
a week.
Yeah, it's a week now. The High Council was super enthusiastic this year, and they're like, "We'll make it a week." I was like, "Okay, you guys are in charge of this." But game days, which is also run by Verk, the next one, they happen every other month, and the next one is happening in October, on October 25th specifically. Usually there's a poll, so at the beginning of, like, at the end of the previous game days, people go in and vote for which weekend of the month or day of the month the next game days will be. So people voted, and they chose October 25th. And yeah, so you can go in, you can offer to run a game, you can play in games, it's totally free. Safety tools are required for all the games. There's always a really great variety of games. So yeah, it's always a good time. And everybody who worked on it, you all rock, and I love you and I appreciate you. Oh, we are going to be updating the mailbag channel in the Discord just slightly. Currently we just have left everything there, and then I put like a little emoji, like, I've used this, check. It's becoming a little unwieldy, and people have been requesting for quite some time for it to be revamped so people know which topics have been used, which ones aren't. It's easier to scroll through or see how many we have on the queue at the moment. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be creating a mailbag archive. And as things are used from the original mailbag channel, they will be deleted and, like, archived in the mailbag archive channel. So if you want to see old, they're not emails, but old topics or letters or whatever we call them in this weird digital age, missives that people have posted.
That's it. Missives wins.
Yeah, it wins. They will be archived in the channel below, and then only the ones that are still in the queue and haven't been used yet will be in the actual mailbag channel. Give me time. Like, it's going to take me a week or two we figured it out, but to actually get that done. So it's like an automatic process. When I click the little emoji, it automatically deletes and posts in the other one. And yeah, Jackalop's amazing for that. So thank you for that. Yeah, You're all fantastic. Thank you for everyone who helps me with all this stuff. It's fantastic. I also want to, like, I'm very excited about it. And I just played this for Pooja. But, and another thing that my husband has been holding from me in his, like, knowledge of the industry, like, one of the things I get really stressed out about is doing the voiceovers for our actual plays. And whenever possible, I try and pawn it off on someone on the crew, like Bill or Jason or Kai. And I'm like, okay, do these. But the problem is there's a really long turnaround time. And I either sit there and like have to find a quiet hour where I can sit and record without my child needing me or my like day job needing papers graded or whatever else, which usually takes a lot longer than I'd want. Or I have to send it to someone and I'm completely at their mercy with their timeline. Which
And everybody is so busy and everybody's got so much going on, and it's like, you know, we all do this out of the love of it.
Yeah.
We all do this for love.
for love. So I was like complaining to my husband about like, okay, I have to get the Pirates of Darkwater AP like intro done so I can release the podcast. I have to do it. And I'm like, I have to do it like maybe tonight. Like I know we were supposed to watch a movie, but maybe I can do this instead. Blah blah. He's like, why don't you just hire a voiceover artist? And I was like, oh, we definitely can't afford that. He's like, your intros are like 20 to 30 seconds long. You could probably get that for like $30 to $50. And I was like, I'm sorry. What? And he's like, yeah, you posted on this like professional website. And I did it. And it took me like 20 minutes during my lunch break. And like by the time I got home, like I had a bunch of great submissions that I could just like literally pick the one I liked, pay the person the $40 and then download it and just put it in the intro. I'm like, I have been doing this podcast and all of these actual plays for like a decade now.
It's like you're just now saying it.
Yeah. So anyway, I was very, very excited. So I posted the intro all over the place, and the podcast, the AP is on the feed and stuff now. But anyway, I'm just really excited about that. So thank you to our Patreons who give us money, so now I can pay $30 to some amazing voiceover artist, and I don't have to do it anymore. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to spend like sitting in there trying to record well at like 12:30, I guess, at night, but also in the morning, like while my child's asleep. It's great. It's great. It's the best thing that's ever happened. It also sounds so much better than I could ever do it.
Well,
So yes,
we get the like. I mean, and that's the benefit of using professionals, right?
Mhm.
It's like you get the tone and the vibe and everything that you want, and it can be individualized for every campaign.
and like it actually sounds like a pirate, not being like, "Yar me hearties, the pirates of dark water." Like, okay, I actually have a fairly good pirate accent, but there are some that have been bad. So anyway, yeah. Thank you, Patreons. You're amazing. Thank you for that. Also, go listen to that. Even if you don't want to listen to the AP, you should because it's amazing. But it's a really cool intro. It's great. All right, indie designer of the month. Our indie designer of the month is Black Armada Games. They actually were in the second to last episode of the Advice Show last season. So season 35, episode 24, I think. And they're amazing. They're like, I love them. You can find their work at blackarmada.com or at blackarmada.itch.io. Today's game is Whippy Wars. Have you ever noticed how ice cream vans cluster together? Economists will give you very good reasons for this, but the real reason is you need to be close to your rivals if you're going to sabotage them. Whippy Wars is a game of wildly excessive actions in the pursuit of ice cream sales. You play ice cream sellers who will stop at nothing to beat their rivals, deploying everything from extreme marketing to adulterating their rivals' ice cream with dog poo to tactical nuclear weapons. It's a Roadrunner and Coyote if they were both ice cream sellers. The game ends when the authorities turn up. Now, I do want a heads up. In the game, it is like the cops showing up, but I can speak for the people who wrote this game. This is one of their older games, so they share our thoughts and beliefs, and it's not required of the system that it be cops. So it's very easy to change it. You could change it to, the health inspector. You could change it to the
Park rangers.
Yeah, the park rangers.
Neighborhood watch.
Exactly. Whatever you want. The angry school children who are angry they can't just have 2 ice cream trucks. Like whatever you kind of wanted to at
Those
the end
are
of the game.
scariest. Oh,
They are. They are. I say with authority on that matter.
Yep.
Children are the scariest. Anyway, so just so you know, it is really a very cute game. Whippy Wars is a role-playing game for 2 to 4 players, and you can get it for $7 on blackarmada.itch.io. Yes. Oh, yeah. Got it. Ta-da!
Names.
Yes.
They're difficult.
All right. Mailbag number 1. Do you want to do... Why don't you do this one and I'll do the next one?
Sure.
Or we swap up? Or whatever. Okay.
Mailbag 1. Dear Kimmy and the collection of dice rolling synthetics. Right. So here's my moral quandary. Is it okay to use AI for game prep without feeling like I've sold my soul to the machine god? I get it. A lot of people's livelihoods depend on copyright and the art of original creation. I respect that. But AI is such a ridiculously handy tool for a GM. I've only dabbled, but I'm honestly impressed. In minutes, I've whipped up handouts that look like they belong in a collector's edition, NPC portraits that could be on trading cards, and plot hooks that practically beg to be played. It'll even stat up NPCs if I ask nicely. But AI makes it fast and easy, which is tempting when I could be spending that time actually playing, or at least pretending to prep. And for brand new or fledgling GMs, it could be a complete game changer. I should add that I also work in education, and I have some very serious opinions on how AI is rapidly reshaping the learning landscape, especially when it comes to written homework and tests. But that's a whole other can of worms, and possibly an entire different podcast episode. So, is it okay to level up our GM prep with AI, or is it just inviting Skynet to run the next campaign? Yours in both analog and digital dice, Thomas from Denmark. P.S. Skal, enjoy your beverage of choice. P.P.S. Yes, I did use AI to help with the grammar of this mail since English isn't my first language. It even came up with the Skynet comment.
Oh, I feel like there's irony in that.
Yes. Intense irony.
Yes.
One thing that I want to just come out, like, this question is in good faith, and I think that a lot of people have these kind of feelings. They're like, if I'm not trying to profit off of it, if I'm not trying to... But what I want to emphasize in how AI and LLM models have been made is the reason why you're getting handouts that look like they belong in a collector's edition and NPC portraits that could be on trading cards is because they used actual artist work. They stole artist work. And the computer model is repeating those things from actual artist work.
Yeah.
That is why AI art looks so good until you start looking at like things like hands and designs and all the other things that we now know you can identify AI art with. AI LLM models are built on stolen artwork. What they do is scour the internet for posted artwork and then use that to and replicate parts of that when when you input requests.
Yeah.
Or it's not requests, but I just can't come up with the right word right now. Yeah,
Prompts.
Prompts.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is the other thing too, is it's not just stealing artwork, and this is, and I'm going to own that in past episodes, it was a while ago, it was a few seasons ago, it was when AI was still very new. We had a conversation where we kind of agreed, like, okay, it seems like if you're not profiting off it, it's fine. We've also learned a lot about AI since that time. One of my biggest concerns as a parent and as someone who works with kids, the AI is trained on images, not just artwork. There's not a single AI out there that hasn't been trained on child pornography because it's all over the internet. It just pulls every image from the internet. It's now pulling any picture, like it's an argument that's happening in my family about, okay, can you post pictures of my child on social media, because like Facebook takes everyone's picture and trains AI on it now. So when
along with stolen books.
yeah, so it's like it's using, I know technically it has permission excuse me because of sorry, excuse me. It technically it has permission because of the user agreements, but when grandma is just clicking through to her Facebook page, she's not thinking about that when she posts pictures of a miner's birthday party or a bunch of little kids at the beach or something like that. And all those images are being scraped and used to train the AI as well. So you're basically using like the images of minors, some of whom are being exploited and abused and just in horrific circumstances in what you're doing. I probably should have done a content warning before I talked about all this, but this is something that's very close to my heart, so maybe I'll put it in the show notes probably.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I think that this also comes into, I mean, there is a lot of other conversation to be had about AI in the classroom, especially when it comes to the tendency of LLMs to hallucinate information, because it doesn't understand, right? It doesn't know. It is predicting based on what it has already seen, what the most likely next word will be, or next set of words will be. And I think that's something that we really need to focus on and keep in the forefront of our minds when it comes to these things. They're not intelligent. These programs are predictive models.
Yeah.
Based on the things that they have been trained on to predict. So in the case of LLMs, you end up with, outside of the hallucinations, you end up with a lot of biases that the internet has on them.
Yeah.
Because of the things that they have been trained on. So you see it a lot now coming out, as I think a lot of people just already knew that once we've all read the horror stories, right? Like, oh, we trained this thing on the internet and now it is a raging bigot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Every time.
it's we get that also. We're getting that also with LLMs.
I do want to push like not push back, but like add an anecdote. I have a dear friend who owns a series of retail stores that are RPG and gaming stores. And this person was hiring someone to write specific content for something they were releasing for their stores. Like they had like a group of adventures that they've been doing for years. And so they've been doing them with this person for a while. And suddenly people were starting to come back and being like, hey, this adventure isn't working with D&D. Like they were playing it and like the stats sometimes were wrong and just like some of the mechanics were off in it and the math in it and some of the things it was asking for didn't exist. And it turns out that this person had stopped writing them themselves for the shop owners and was just using AI to write it. And AI doesn't actually know D&D. Like I'm going to like say like it has all the text of D&D, so it pulls stuff. But it also, again, like I don't like using the term hallucinates because that implies there is a mind there to go wrong. So
that's fair.
Yeah. So it just started making things like it's not even making things up. Like it's hard to, because we keep humanizing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
it is literally just predicting, or the code is pulling what the code thinks out of the probability model what will be in this text.
Yeah. And some of it is inaccurate or pulled from different games or from video game texts it finds or manuals. So it just started being inaccurate in a way that someone who actually had been writing D&D content for years wouldn't be. So it became very obvious very quickly, and then like the shop owner was able to like obviously stop working with this person. But when you're using it to create stuff for games, also know like it might be wrong. It may not actually save you time. You might end up spending a bunch of your game session wasting time looking for some rule or power or whatever that's not even there.
And that's especially true when you're talking about brand new or fledgling GMs. If you don't know the system all that well, it's not always super obvious what is wrong
Yeah.
with the output that you've been given. And I get it. I get it. People don't have money for art. They don't have, the connections to barter necessarily, but I would just highly recommend that when it comes to your home games, embrace where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have handouts that look like they're going to be on television. You can have things, and to me as a player, it means more when someone has actually created what they're doing, and the time and effort is what really matters. And then also the information that you're getting inside of it being accurate and making sense.
Yeah.
I would also say that when it comes to prompts, or like I say prompts and that has double use here, but when it plot hooks and things like that, this comes back to like another, like, everyone mark it up on the tally. It's been 0 days since Pooja was on the advice show and mentioned books. That there's a lot of conversation in book spaces and author spaces about reading widely when you're an author. That you can't write as well as you could write if you don't read as well. And I believe that applies to TTRPGs as well, not necessarily in the sense of like go out and watch 75 actual plays, but go out and consume media and stories, and that will make you a better GM, that will give you plot hooks and things, and it will give you the tools that you need to work with your players and the characters that they have created to make a story that feels good and personal. If that's not something that interests you, if that's not something that you necessarily want to do, that's where pre-written scenarios come in. And people are making those, and they're not always, like, a lot of the, big ones or famous ones can be a lot of money, but that isn't all that's out there by a long shot. Especially if you go on, like, Itch has so many scenarios, things that are meant to be played, meant to be tailored to a lot of different systems. So it is like, and they're so reasonable. A lot of them are pay what you can, pay what you will. Yeah. And it's like so worth it to me to support artists on every level, and to say that, like, you don't have to have Critical Role or Dimension 20 level production value in your home game. Yeah. People aren't, it can be fun or whatever, but, like, it's not the point. And it's not even the point when you are in, like, a Critical Role or Dimension 20. It is another level. It is a layer on top of their base skills and production. Yeah. So, yeah, please don't use the plagiarism stealing machine.
There's also, like, the biggest thing that's stressing me out about AI right now is not, I mean, yes, it's very important not to steal people's work. It's very important not to use, it's incredibly important not to use, like, accidentally use the picture of the face of an abused kid as, like, your NPC. The thing that honestly, like, keeps me, like, up at night the most is the, like, ramifications on the environment that are being brought forward by like the supposed AI, because the servers use such a huge amount of energy, and this is honestly the thing that's been reported on, like, the least, unfortunately, and it's the thing I find when I'm talking to people about AI, because I am in the education space and my district is rolling out, like, AI stuff as we speak, and I'm that person in all the staff meetings asking the really annoying questions, is they're not aware of, like, how much energy this uses. Like, this is going to change the world. This is going to cause famines. This is already causing energy shortages places. They have, like, they're using nuclear energy, like 3 Mile Island is being reopened not to power cities, but for private companies to power their AI servers. Like this is something that is happening.
And this is while we are simultaneously seeing like more and more instances of rolling blackouts every summer, multiple times a summer. Our power grids can't handle the climate that we have now.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying to see the amount of additional power required, and also the, honestly, like, I'm gonna come right out and say it, the hoops that governments are jumping through in order to cater to this rather than the lives of the people who live in these cities.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a net negative on every level.
Yeah.
And it's such a, like, it's hard because it's so divorced from people using it, right? Like when you just type in a prompt and you get your thing and it seems so like innocuous because you're not a professional, you're just some guy at home, the gender neutral guy.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, I just want to emphasize what Kimmy is saying.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know where these images have come from. You don't know, and we do know now what kinds of things that it is that they have been training on. And I would urge everyone to look deeper into it and to see beyond the hype of what AI promises and what it is actually doing and capable of doing, and the great harm that it is already doing.
Yeah. I mean, it, like, one of the things, they're moving a lot of these servers to obviously less affluent places in the world. There's been people finding that they're paying like local farmers in these places to not raise crops so they can use the water to cool the servers. And that's going to have huge ramifications long term for food production. And these are not places that are going to just be able to afford buying food from other places. But, you know, how is an individual farmer going to like turn that down? Like, hey, I'm going to pay you more than you'd ever make to just sit around all day. Like, you know, that's they're not going to do that.
And there's nothing like, and it's also another bubble, right? We are talking about another bubble. We are already in that state where it is starting to burst.
Yeah.
The company that trained their AI algorithm on a ton of pirated books.
Yeah.
Class action settlement is currently going through. That company name starts with an A. I don't have more for you than that. I don't names.
Yeah.
But just look into that, because especially if you look at those communities, a lot of artists, if you want to upload your own art and photos to the internet, and they have programs now that will invisibly corrupt your image, so it cannot be used. So if an AI scrapes it, or I should more applicably say when AI scrapes it, it will poison the database.
One of them is called Glaze. I think Glaze,
one's like Nightshade or
Nightshade.
something.
Yeah, I think at least on like Discord, Reddit talks for art, because I've been like dealing with having to do this because like I purchase art and get art for my games, and then I need to post it on social media, but I feel awful, like, so I've used both Nightshade and Glaze for my stuff on social media. I don't know which one's really more effective, but supposedly word on the internet is Glaze is a little more effective, but I don't know about it. Someone does.
But it is something that we can do. There are steps that we can take individually.
Yeah.
And then James V has posted what authors need to know about the $1.5 billion Anthropic settlement.
Yeah.
And that's at the authorsguild.org.
Yeah. Honestly, the biggest things that we can do to stop AI are, one, I know it sounds awful, but cheer on the capitalistic monsters like Disney and all of these that are finally starting to like sue because they're realizing their stuff is getting stolen. And I know
Doesn't
it
have to
sounds
be David and Goliath. It could be Goliath and Goliath.
yeah, and we can pick a side and not like also sell our souls to that side, but like, you know, like cheer them on and also start like reaching out to representatives, especially about energy use, because that's something that they will listen to. I wish they would listen about climate change. They probably won't realistically. But if you're like, "Hey, I'm paying this much for energy and we're letting like the nuclear power plant be sold off or privately used, you know, for this while we're still burning coal to like power my house in the winter or whatever it is."
Or like, oh, I'm still having rolling blackouts.
Yeah.
I had 2 weeks ago, my power went off for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It was like 100 that day.
yeah. And this happens regularly.
Yeah.
I can, like clockwork, say at least once to twice to 3 times a year.
Yeah.
I am going to lose power for multiple hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not I'm not in the sticks.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a city
A big city.
that is completely that is one of the more like progressive cities and well-run cities when it comes to energy.
Yeah.
I put it in air quotes for those of you listening along later. That is like, so in areas where the grid is not nearly as well maintained, which is large swaths of the country,
Mm-hmm.
it gets worse and worse and worse. You see this again and again in Texas. You see this again and again in other areas of the United States. And it has a real cost in human lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And money, and straight up money. Like your energy bills go up or stay higher than they should be because of this, and because they are using the most efficient sources of energy themselves instead of and even with these public things that public funds have paid for and built. I don't know if it's the same in other places in the world, but this is like they're definitely doing very they're definitely paying people in other countries and stuff like I talked about earlier. I don't know what they're doing for energy. I don't know if they're, you know, also absconding with nuclear power plants in Europe or things like that. I haven't looked into that. I probably should, but it's probably very likely happening. If it's happening here, it's probably happening everywhere.
And James V has come up with another article, how AI infrastructure is driving a sharp rise in electricity bills.
Yeah.
This is at pbs.org NewsHour. So
yeah,
these articles, these sources are out there if you want to.
And also just fresh water usage too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's true, but like people on the internet like to say, because I talk to a lot of people on the internet. I'm very plugged in online, and a lot of us are yelling about AI a lot. A lot of people are like, every time you type a prompt into one of these machines, it's the equivalent of dumping out, like from a small prompt, like one thing, it's like one water bottle. And then to the bigger prompts, it can be like gallons of water that are being used to cool the servers to answer your question. And there's a finite amount of fresh water on the planet. So this is my existential crisis as a parent right now. So thank you. But no.
And thank you for writing in. I think Thomas, it is a question a lot of people are grappling with right now.
Yeah.
And I would just urge you to find other ways, to find other resources, to connect with people who are making the art that you want to see if you can barter things to get NPC portraits or to get, or things like that. See if you can find, there are resources online where artists will sell packs of kind of generic, I mean, not generic, but nondescript portraits that you can use for your PCs. So check them out there. Check them out,
Also, if you're just using a home game, sorry, I totally.
No, go ahead.
If you're just using them from a home game, find an artist you like and just show the picture or print it out. You shouldn't do that if you're doing it, but I get it. I totally get it. It costs hundreds of dollars to get portraits made. Find a picture of a celebrity or find a picture someone has done of an orc that you love or whatever it is.
And then this is another thing too, is this is a thing Jason does a lot, but I love it. It is an easy touchstone to face cast your NPCs as famous people.
Yeah.
And it costs nothing.
Yeah.
You just say like, hey, this person looks like this celebrity,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody immediately has that same picture in their mind.
Yeah.
Or you can pull up a photo of like, and this red carpet look, and then you all get to drool a little bit
Yeah.
as well, and it's
Fantastic.
just like endorphins.
Yeah. A trick too with publishers who have very little money, of which I am one. There's a bunch of people I follow, a whole bunch of really cool creatives on Blue Sky who literally give away assets like once a month. Like, so it's like pretty little scroll work for the corners of pages or pretty page numbers. And like every month it's like a different little thing. And there's like 20 different little cute corners that you can put. Some of them are fantasy looking, some of them are like classy and Pride and Prejudice looking, some are like gritty. And so there's like so many people just giving away stuff that if you wanted, and I get spending the time is the hardest part. But again, that's one of the things is like people have spent their time learning how to do this. So just like suddenly like claiming it as your own when you haven't like practiced, I don't know. There's some like reflection to be done of like, yeah, it's so cool that it can be done so fast, but also like there's also something really kind of icky about that. I don't know.
I
Think about
mean,
it.
really, it boils down to me. It's like the reason why it can be done fast is because what you have done is is
Yeah.
ask a computer to give you somebody else's artwork, and they've given you somebody else's artwork.
Yeah, you haven't actually done it, and neither did the computer. All right, cheerful topics, yay! All right, mailbag number 2. Also, a super. I mean, like it's a very good faith. Like these are the only reasons, like because we have had emails from these people before, and we know like their intent, and they have other emails in the queue, and like they're part of the community. We don't generally field questions like this when there's vibes or like red flags about it being in like bad faith. So just heads up, if you're newer to the Podrick cast, it's not always like this.
But also, like, if you are part of the community and you have questions,
Yeah,
it's not always you. Questions in good faith are welcomed, even when
Yeah.
they're about topics that can feel a little like,
Yeah.
yeah, for lack of a better word.
we learn by asking and searching out answers.
And then if y'all are interested in more resources, you can check out the VOD of this. James B has put a lot of different resources in the chat. Thank you so much for that. For just things you can find, like play in different scenarios and artwork and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we've read all the titles, so if you want to Google them too, if you're listening on audio, or YouTube, which I don't think keeps the chat. Oh no, the chat is literally on the screen. I'm smart. I'm cool. I actually run this. This is my thing that I run, and I made the screen that shows the chat. I'm cool. Mailbag number 2. I know my stuff. Dear Kimmy and the other glorious hosts this week. Hi, it's Eric from New Jersey. TikTok has put me in a state of panic, and I need your help to figure it out.
Oh no.
Don't try and figure out TikTok. Oh, I see. You're not trying to figure out TikTok. Okay. When people talk about appropriation versus appreciation in the TTRPG world, sometimes to me it sounds like the exact same thing, to the point I can't differentiate between the two. I'm trying, but I'm very confused, sometimes questioning whether what I'm doing is okay or not. Considering I've been gaming since 1981, I worry I wouldn't easily spot appropriation except in its most obvious forms, like racist accents. I was definitely exposed to a lot of appropriation in early RPG works. This may make me less observant about it happening. There was a discussion on TikTok about this, and now I'm even more confused. TikTok does that. Thus, I am looking for advice. My apologies if this letter gets to jib lengths. That's an old callback for those who don't understand. It's a person who used to write in a lot of very long emails. Example 1. Thanks to Happy Jacks, I found Masks, which was my first PBTA game that ever clicked for me. One of my players decided he wanted to play a girl from Africa. He had a city and a country picked out. When I asked him, why do you want to play this? He stated that he wanted to play someone from a metropolitan city in Africa because a lot of people think of just towns and villages and tribes, and he wanted to expose the other players to a level of sophistication they may not consider. I don't know how he got the research of this in the first place, to tell you the truth. Based on this conversation, I let him play Whirlwind, who is an absolute badass of an exchange student at Halcyon North High School. While everyone knew Whirlwind was an exchange student from Africa, it didn't come up really. Mostly because there is an ice cream addicted alien as an exchange student also.
Yeah.
Whirlwind, yeah, I mean, that would be, I mean, we also had like a great like ice cream themes, which I hadn't read this detail, so now it's just very serendipitous. Whirlwind had was a three-dimensional character that didn't play into stereotypes. So I'm hoping it is more appreciation. Should we talk about each example?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that would probably be. I would say yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the idea is you had the right instinct there. Is like, why do you want to play specifically a girl from Africa?
Mhm.
Your player wanted to explore the depth and like actual, you know, realness,
Mhm.
three-dimensionality of countries in Africa. I feel like people, this is one of those things that like I do it a lot. Africa is a continent. It is made up of many different countries.
Yeah.
And I wish that we were better about pinpointing actual countries.
Yeah.
Rather than just saying Africa.
yeah.
But in this, I do it. Lots of people do it.
Mhm. But it says here that the player had a specific city and
country
country
picked out.
that they talked about.
Yeah. I just wanted to
Yeah.
be clear that I'm not calling you out specifically. It is
Yes.
just one of those things I've just once again twigged in my brain.
Mhm.
But they have massive communities, different cultures, all of that stuff, and like this feels like appreciation. It doesn't have to be a specific like plot point
Mhm.
to make it appreciation. It can just be like, because this is the thing that strikes a chord with me, that it's uncomfortable to always be the person who is representing
Yeah.
something instead of just allowing people of different backgrounds and different, you know,
Anything.
cultures
Yeah.
than the standard where we are to just be in these worlds,
Mhm.
to just be a superhero who's here. And some of that is like, to me, not making his background or his character's background a huge plot point is a point in your favor.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. It just, there's not even like, by not shining a spotlight on it, it is accepted as normal,
Mm-hmm.
which is really powerful and important. So yeah, I think that this one, to me, like, appreciation. I vote appreciation on this one.
Yeah.
All right, example 2. In my Savage Worlds homebrew fantasy campaign, we had a player who built what can graciously be called a berserking orcish paladin. The orc was part berserker, part holy warrior, and part Anthony Bourdain. Wow. Okay. I'm just like picturing for a moment. Just give me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just having them.
Okay. I think I put that together. Okay. He wanted an orc to have an accent, and instead of choosing a regional accent, basically makes the orc sound like Cookie Monster. No, that's just okay. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. No, that street have bad food. Come over. I can't do it. Okay, come over here. The street for good shish kebabs. Halflings do good job. Very good with spices. Okay, I think I got raised. I don't mean to be. I was trying to be Cookie Monster. That was like my Cookie Monster. It was not good, but okay. At some point, we found a video of a New Zealand military funeral where the soldiers did a haka, and the player realized that this has been what was in his headcanon for the war dancing the orc would do when getting ready to fight. This led to frenetic research of Maori cooking techniques and him asking if he could incorporate them into the nomadic orcish tribes. I allowed it. When the PCs went to a feast with the orcish tribes, the orc player lovingly described various cooking techniques the orcs were using and gave the PCs some immersion in what we had for orcs. Note, in my world, there were no evil races per se. There are good and bad things of various races, or good and bad governments, depending on the situation. All right, example 2. I feel like, for the first one thing, like, when you're using things from different groups around the world, first thing you need to really look into is if it's an open or a closed tradition. Because there are groups that have a lot of indigenous and native tribes have said, hey, this is a closed practice, which is we don't let other people do this outside. Like you might be able to read up on it. Maybe someone wrote a paper about it, but it means that it's something for them only. So you can learn about it academically, but you should not practice it. So it's, I mean, like cooking techniques are generally not part of that, but I would still suggest looking that up.
But the haka is.
The haka is, yes.
The haka is a closed practice.
Yeah, that is a
at least
specific-
in my understanding. I cannot speak for the Maori people. I am not of that that background, but everything I know about it is that it is a closed practice.
Yeah.
And this is where like appreciation and appropriation can get a little fuzzy, right? And this also, because things aren't always super black and white, they're not always just one thing or another. You can have things that start off as appreciation, they just snowball into appropriation. You can have things that are completely in good faith, but are just not yours to use.
Yeah.
And I think that in this case, yes, it's Savage Worlds, but you also end up with a situation in which orcs in fantasy role-playing games have traditionally been coded as other, like, as natives, as like sometimes they have characteristics that Black Americans have, sometimes they have characteristics that different natives from around the world may have, and it has been really harmful to those groups. And so I think that there is a level of care that we need to take, especially when we talk about how we are assigning practices and characteristics from real world cultures to our fantasy races.
Yeah.
And that's whether or not we're talking about people who are making a book about it or just what you're doing in your home campaign.
Yeah.
It's not like,
I feel like also there's a difference between referencing something, like saying they do a dance that's similar to the haka, rather than and using things like that to describe like the vibes of things, or like this dish tastes like this dish, but it's made like from this. So like having it as a point of reference for people to understand the general like impression of it is different than saying they are making this specific dish that you've taken from a real world culture.
and
I think-
also
yeah.
like, it's the difference between like, okay, if this is a culture that is othered to your group, to your party,
Yeah.
so are you basing your standard culture, what are you basing it on?
Yeah.
And then what are we reinforcing, and what are you normalizing?
Yeah.
Through those practices. And so it's not like, it's like, oh, appreciation or appropriation,
Yeah.
but it is like, it's just something to be aware of. Let us be aware of what we're normalizing. Let us be aware of how we're thinking about different groups around the world when you don't have direct ties to them, and what it means to put them in your games as things that are weird.
Yep. Ask yourself, why are you having the orc do this versus the elf or generally the more white coded races? Like there's some unpacking with yourself and maybe your player to like do there. I'm not necessarily asking for that answer now, but like we have these biases innately in us because our society does, and these are things that we have to start thinking about and questioning in ourselves. And it sounds like you're already doing that process, which is great. but sometimes sometimes you have to get a little uncomfortable with like where you are, and versus where your intent is. If maybe that might have been more vague and even more confusing,
No.
but like,
And it is. It's like it's a process. We're all in this growing and learning process together.
Yeah.
Forever.
Mhm.
Like, sorry,
we don't
not
start
sorry. But it is just one of those things where like this would make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like I think is part of it. If there is another person of color at your table who is of a different culture than you are, what are you telling them about what their culture means in your game?
Yeah. I think the difference here, your first example, the person was using their character, their background wasn't a prop for them. It was part of who their character was, and like you said, it didn't necessarily end up being a big key point. It didn't end up like pulling the spotlight on someone for playing and pretending to be a person of color, and from like a othered place. But for this one, sorry, I'm hearing something in the things, in the headphones. But for this one, it feels like a prop, and I think there's something to think about with that too. It feels like something they're taking and using to make their character more special, rather than just like having it. I don't know. It's like, look at this thing I have and I'm using and I found for my character who is different and weird, and that's a little icky. well, clearly not like ill intentioned.
Yes.
Like like there's definitely like good intentions happening here, but I think there is some learning that could happen as well.
Yeah. And I think if I wanted to pull out like one thing where it really like flips for me, I mean, outside of the fact that like when I saw Haka, decided that my orc was doing a Haka, it is lovingly, it's the section when it said they did frenetic research of Maori cooking techniques, and then lovingly described them to give the PC some immersion into what you had for orcs.
Yeah.
And that feels bad.
Yeah.
It feels bad to say these orcs are native people. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. It's not.
It's perfect.
It's not so cut and dry. Maybe other people would feel differently. Obviously, Kimmy and I don't speak for the entirety of the internet.
Yes.
But this is where I start to look at things. Like my first place to go when I say like, okay, am I appreciating someone else's culture? Am I appropriating someone else's culture? Is to see, like, to listen to that voice inside of me that says, if someone did this about my culture, would I feel bad?
Yeah.
Would this feel like I am being told that my culture has no actual place in the metropolitan and the normal lives of this game?
Yeah. And that can be really hard to do, like speaking as like the white Westerner. Like our compass for that is off. Like we don't have like a good barometer for like, would I feel bad about this? Because it's really hard for us to picture a world where what we have experienced in our culture is ever thought of as other. So that's something that we really need to work on and practice in our life, because we haven't had, and this is why I believe travel is really important and people should go and understand and like see what it's like to be in a country and like and absorbed in a culture where your norm is not the norm, because it gives you it just makes you is a better person. But just be aware, like you can sit as someone who is the normal and be like, would I feel bad if someone talked bad about, my weird Christmas tradition that Nana has done? And it's like a totally normal thing that's in like 90% of movies about Christmas. And no, I wouldn't feel bad about that, but that's not an accurate thing usually, because you can't actually contemplate or really like empathize. You can sort of like I don't know. It's just hard for us to do. So really kind of sit with it if you're in that place and you like me are of this group, and because it's easy to be like, no, I wouldn't feel bad about that, but then like it's different. So like check your barometer a little bit on like what you would be upset about.
No. And I think it's worth too to say, like, when you find these kinds of things, to read more widely about them.
Yes.
It isn't just what the thing itself is, but what are the practices around it? What of the people of that culture and of that community? What have they said about it?
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee you, you're not the first one to look at the haka and think it's really cool and want to use it for something.
Yeah.
And so just search a little wider, cast your net a little wider, and see what community members have said. And that's, I think, a really good starting place.
Yeah.
Is to look at what people of that community and of that culture are saying about people using it.
Yeah. A lot of the terminal, like closed practice, open practice is something that if you're putting in like internet searches isn't often something that'll bring like knowledgeable, articles and things that are written by knowledgeable people to the forefront, and most often people of those groups themselves, specifically with indigenous and native tribes and native peoples. But there's a lot of like keywords, and just, do your internet sleuthing well and find like reliable sources, hopefully from the people themselves.
Yeah. And I would say in this just particular thing, I did a search just now for haka closed practice, and the first hit was a piece in The Guardian about that says the haka isn't yours, stop performing it, by Morgan Godfrey.
Yeah.
And that's just like literally the first hit. And there are a lot of different things down later that are from New Zealand and from Maori communities that talk about the haka. So yeah, so it is one thing to just say like, okay, let me read more about this. Let me look deeper into it, just beyond what it means for my character.
Yeah. And also, you can search up start searching things that are similar. Like you might find like, oh, hey, there's this and maybe, the Scottish, I mean, Scots were also, there's terrible history everywhere, but like you could find other examples to use that may not be in these groups that are that have close practice for one, and that also are just generally othered in a way that shouldn't be aligned with things like orcs and things like that. So yeah, all right. Example 3. If a player playing a person of a different culture, sorry, my brain like short circuited.
No, mine too. I was like, wait, there's so many bees.
They're playing. If a player playing a person of a different culture is problematic, what about being the GM? I am running a Savage Worlds fantasy campaign set in the future for the first one, a future of the first one that is finished. I don't want a whitewashed world purely because I'm white. I want a variety of beings to exist. I want multiple cultures to exist. Forgetting things like accents because I suck at them anyway. The difference is more cosmetic, or how governments are run and things like that. I know I wrote in about things like half-orcs and half-elves to Happy Jacks a while ago, asking if it was a good idea. Heck, in my campaign, we have a half-orc, half-elf, and a half-halfling, half-gnome. So many half-halves. Player, like, a lot of alliteration happening. Let everyone mix it up in love. On top of that, I totally ripped off Danny the Street from the Doom Patrol. The current PCs are sailing in a sentient gender-fluid ship. I love that. That takes on marginalized crew members. For my world, while we don't get into major struggles of the LGBTQIA community, they exist on this ship along with some beings that are disabled. Imagine a medieval wheelchair zooming around the deck of a ship because the sailor lost both legs. So there you have it. Okay, let's talk about this then. I feel like there's not a specific example.
I would say, let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
it is not always problematic for a player to play a person of a different culture. I think we established that in example one.
Yeah.
There are plenty of times where it works.
Mhm.
There are plenty of times where maybe don't do it.
Mhm.
You're already well on board with don't do
Yeah.
terrible accents.
Ask what? Yeah.
And I think as a GM, you just need to ask yourself those same questions, right? What purpose is it serving for these NPCs to be of different cultures, to be of different races? And then ask yourself what roles they are playing to make sure that they don't fall into harmful stereotypes. And that's it. And sometimes it doesn't always have to be like this some grand specific reason. Once again, like example one. This person is South Asian because I want them to be South Asian. And here's my face cast for them because I saw Dev Patel on my television and needed Dev Patel in my game.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Totally fine.
It's different to have people of different cultures and different races as your NPCs or as your player characters, just so long as you're not cosplaying a different culture or a different person.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think as the GM, it's important to have enough diversity that it doesn't seem notable when you describe someone who has like other than white skin color. And like for main characters, absolutely. Like think about that. Like honestly, when they're just walking through the marketplace, like describe a lot of different things. There's an amazing article that I think it's on Tumblr. So it has like a terrible URL, but if you look around for it, you'll find it. That's about describing skin colors without using food. Because don't use food to describe people unless it's like someone you're very intimate with. But it's like all about different types, and it gives so many great examples of incredible descriptions, very evocative, very beautiful descriptions of a myriad of different skin colors, using different like gems and things like that. Sorry.
My favorite thing about when you need to break yourself of the habit of describing other people, like, or people in general with food terms, is to make yourself do it for all the white characters too.
Yes.
And once you have to
Amazing.
describe someone and tell people that their skin is the beautiful glistening color of yogurt, it loses a lot of its appeal.
Yeah.
Yogurt dogs. Yogurt dogs.
The lovely color of brie.
Yeah. I was like, his skin was like the rind of a well-aged brie. Cracked and somewhat smelly. But
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
don't do it. Just don't do it. But it is just a fun exercise to break yourself of the habit if you are in the habit of doing that.
That's pretty amazing. I might steal it for a pirate someday, though. A brie skinned pirate. Okay, no.
Only if it's literally brie.
Yeah, literally brie.
All
right. But yeah, so I think that's like a good place to start. Like, don't try and put on an affect. Don't try and put on any of these things. Describe a bunch of different, diverse looking people in your world.
And then also, like, you have a ship that loves to have, like, a fully fleshed out marginal, like, people who, crew members who have different marginalizations. Don't use them as a teachable moment, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, don't use them as props. Just have them be normal. Just like normal members of the crew.
As normal as TTRPG NPCs are ever going to be.
Especially on a ship like that, which sounds like amazing. Like so good.
It's very Becky Chambers coded.
Totally.
Yes, I love it.
Love it. But yeah, like, again, like the thing that you got so right with that first example was that person was what they were, and it wasn't the focus of the story. They were just that, and they were amazing. So like, make everything, there's just that, and it's amazing. Like, that is like the worst definition, but you get it. I think. I don't know. I hope that.
I think.
Yeah.
I hope that we were clear. I hope that you understand that these, like, our comments are given in love,
Yeah.
and that things aren't always so cut and dry, and it's not. One thing I will say, like, especially on TikTok, it is going through the early Tumblr days of, like, very black and white thinking, and very, very, oh my god, this has happened, therefore burn it all down forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, we all go through that stage, right? Like, every social media platform does.
Yeah. But
things aren't, like, nuance is definitely lost when you're talking about things that are 60 seconds or less.
Yeah.
And we all just are gonna do better next time.
Yeah, exactly. And there's, like, it's not like, you know, Caesar, live, death. Like, there's not like the binary of this is always going to be good, always going to be bad. Like, it's a fluid and opinion-based thing. Like, even when you're talking about, like, marginalized cultures, like, if you were going to go to talk to some Maori people, they would probably have a variety of opinions about sharing their food and haka practices and things like that. Like, no group is a monolith, which is also incredibly important to realize. It's not an excuse to say, well, this one individual person said I could use it if, like, a culture is saying something is close practice. But, like, just understand that, like, I don't know, there's so much nuance in it, and there's so much, just, like, get as much information about it as you can, and then, like, do your best. It's also, like, these are also home games, so, like, there's gonna be a little pain and growth, but that's also good that you're trying and you're trying to stretch yourself, and I would just encourage that you keep trying and learning. And I think I also really appreciate your vulnerability with sharing these stories, and by sharing your have done wells and maybe can learn froms. I think that's very educational and helpful.
Yeah. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for trusting us with this.
Yeah.
Thank you for trusting our community with these kinds of questions, because it's not always easy to put yourself out there and be like, this is what I don't know. Can you help me?
Yeah.
So,
Yay. Oh, I did not read the end of the email. Also, let me read the end of the email. So there you have it. Am I fucked in the head? Discuss. As usual, stay gaming, stay happy, stay diverse. Mugs held high. Eric from New Jersey. P.S. I swear I'm not as neurotic of a guy in his 50s as I sound. Drink. Huzzah.
Hey. Mailbag 3. Ooh, from the archives. 2018. Yeah, that was so long ago now. Greetings, Jackers. Terry in Idaho here, wishing cooler temperatures for you and yours. Thank you, Terry. We
Funny
need
how
them.
it's appropriate all these years later.
Yep. Many GMs like me have a game that is their white whale, that dreamed of campaign they want to run but are always chasing and never catching. Granted, listening to all the APs Happy Jacks produces has created enough white whale games for me to make Captain Ahab have a conniption.
I love that. I'm gonna make it. Like, I want to make a T-shirt of that, or like a little slogan.
Like a sticker.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm dreaming not of a white Christmas, but of a D&D 5th edition all-bard game. Oops, all bards! The game starts up with the group waking up at a crossroads. They have no idea how they got there or what happened, but all of their belongings and money are intact and on their person. If that opening sounds a little cliche, then you're on the right track. They didn't sell their souls to learn to play. They pulled a devil went out to Georgia and faced an entity on a bet of wealth, fame, power versus their souls. And lost.
Ooh.
However, it's too stereotypical for devils and demons to take souls. Thinking of alternatives, I looked at the warlock class and thought, well, the fiend can grant powers, and so can the fae. And if the fiend can take souls...
Ooh.
So the quest to find their souls may lead to the underworld, but it will end in the Fae court. I see the Fae willing to take souls of musicians to have an eternal orchestra.
Ooh.
Perhaps one archfey with the domain of music who sees the PCs as the perfect music box that never runs down or runs out. However, I know squat about the court. Its politics and machinations, the Fae entities within, etc. and I don't want to make a carbon copy of D&D lore. I turn to you, Happy Jacks. What are some interesting twists that you might put in on the court? Personages, themes, politics, etc.? A toast to the podcast, the APs, the hosts, and the players.
Huzzah.
Drink! I'm literally getting like the last drop
Yeah,
of
me
my
too.
beverage at this point. Sincerely, Terry in Idaho. P.S. A sincere thanks to Jason for running a great Demigods game. The Bard game is my main white whale, but there's a Demigods campaign swimming around up there too. And thank you also to the wonderful people I gamed with, Kimmy, Nick, and Gemethist, Eddie the Reaper. Couldn't have a better group of friends.
Amazing. I'm trying to think of when this was. Like I remember playing, but I don't remember. I think it was one of the cons, or maybe it was an online game. I remember the game, but I don't remember like
Anything around it.
anything around. Like I remember the visual of like my character sheet and like, but yeah, it's fun to play. Come back and do a game day so we can play again. Okay, so Faye. So I have very strong opinions about Faye. So
I know, I'm like, where's Clara? Clara's gonna come out of the, like,
Or
from
Joey.
between the tables.
they're just gonna climb out like the girl from
From the ring.
the ring. Yeah, I'm like, what's the one? So there's like the classic like Titania, the summer court, and then Mab, the winter court. There's been a lot of media and stuff about that. Summer's beautiful and like life, and then like winter is like death, and it's a cycle, and they're both beautiful but like deadly in different ways. So I think that's like the safest way to go.
Yeah. I mean, we did just do it that way in Astral Circus
Yeah.
last session.
Oh, really? Last session? Okay.
So we had Maeve and Titania, and they were both equally glorious and terrible.
Yeah.
I think that what you could also
I think it's
do.
Mab, isn't it Mab? Or did Jason call her Maeve?
I think I called her Maeve.
Okay, that's okay.
You know what?
Just, because I was in Midsummer like 8 billion times.
I know. It's like,
I see Queen Mab hath been with you. I was never that part. I was always annoyed I never got to be that part. But
it doesn't.
it
It
does not
It is
matter.
not.
It's
That is not the
pretend.
point.
It's
It is
pretend
the-
things.
But what I was going to say is, if you don't want to just make a carbon copy of D&D lore, what you can do is look into the deeper sides of the Fae courts, because outside of just your highest tier royalty, you have many people in the courts, and you can have the princes of the courts. You can have the rest, the lords and lordlings. And they have great power and no responsibility.
Yeah. I think my thoughts about it are mess with it. Like, make it your own. Like, I feel like make up a spring and fall lady. Like, I want, like, that would be what I would want to fall. Like if I was a queen of a fae, like, it would be fall. And like,
And you see a lot of like shadow courts
yeah,
as well, which are lots of fun and very like. I think it would be interesting to have like dawn and dusk courts as well,
oh yeah, that would be
because
amazing.
you still get that kind of cycle vibe,
Mm-hmm.
and the push and pull,
Mm-hmm.
but they both occupy dawn and dusk, both occupy liminal spaces.
Yes.
So I just think it would be fun to play around with those and what would be their totem, like, not, I'm sorry, shouldn't use that word. What would be their touchstones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, yeah, there's so much there, and it can be really, really fun and interesting to just make up your own. You don't have to go with Oberon and Titania and Mab and
Mm-hmm.
whoever the dude is on that side.
Yeah. I don't think there is, but one thing I've always wanted to do too is like playing around with ideas of like these cycles and changes and stuff in the world. having like courts that prefer like I can't, it's hard to describe, but like courts that have like split off as humanity has developed, because these are like ancient beings, right, who like have grown from, and people's practice around them has changed, so they themselves have changed. So you have like these like urban fae courts and like these
Ooh,
rural fae
yes.
courts that are still like into the old ways and like whatever, like Stonehenge and whatever you want to like do that. So have that versus like these modernized, like almost cyberpunky fae courts that are all like plugged into like magical technologies and things like that. I would
Yes.
love some sort of cool conflict with something like that.
Drink again. Pooja's gonna bring up another book.
Do it.
There is a urban fantasy series that starts with the Madness of Angels, and the magic system in these books is based on people's belief and what we use, and the power that our secrets and our use of different things gives them. So the original setup is the angels of the telephone lines. Like, that is where this dude's soul has been for the last, like, 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And then he gets spit out, and he's all messed up because the angels of the telephone lines are all messed up. But in the fourth book, it is the Neon Court, and that is the Fae Court in these books.
Oh,
I highly recommend them, if nothing else, just to, like, take a look at what the different systems.
yeah.
They're very noir coded, which fun, and also unfortunately it incorporates some of the tropes that I wish it would leave at the wayside on the noir side. So just mind the content notes, but really fun series other than that. I believe Mike Underwood also has a really interesting take on magic that I don't remember if their books include the Fae Courts or not, but so those are two that I just find really, really interesting, right? Because in a modern world, and in the set of the Madness of Angels books, it's more I guess like 80s 90s kind of vibe, right? But in that zone, what did the Fae Courts turn into in an urban environment? What have they latched onto? And that can be so interesting. And like, now what would it look like in the super technological age, or in a fantasy realm that maybe is more Eberron based?
Yeah.
What does it look like there?
That's so cool.
So play with it. You can make it your own. You don't have to make D&D Fae.
No.
You can make whatever you want.
Yeah. Or Shakespearean fae. Like, it's such a cool and like idea of these magical beings that aren't really like tied to a religion and change, or like that are alive in a way similar and parallel to humanity. So they have these like incredibly, like, if similar to how a lot of people like elves, like how would a society that can live forever adapt? And like fae are unique because they are very changeable beings. So how much would they glom onto from humanity? How much would they reject? How much would they improve and make their own? Like, I don't know, it's just a really, really cool.
How
fun
much
concept.
did we steal from their courts
Yeah.
in this world, right? Like, especially when you've got them interacting as much to do these kinds of Devil Went Down to Georgia deals.
So good.
Which I love.
Yes.
I love so much. But that's the thing, right? It's like, so how much interaction is there? What part of the court? It doesn't always, even on the Archface side, there's more than just your top tier echelon, just like in the like your traditional Western courts. You have your royalty, your dukes, your earls, your marquises.
Yeah. And also, like, how much do they interact with humanity? Is it something that like is like supernatural, where only some people really believe in these crossroad deals? or is it something that everybody can do? Is there like a Fae advisor to like the governmental leader
Mm-hmm.
openly, or is it something that they like talk, I don't know, they only show
Is
up
there a Fae
in their
advisor,
dreams?
but you don't know that they're a Fae advisor?
Yeah, or even maybe they don't even know, like, anybody. It's amazing. There's so much cool intertwining that can be done there.
Yes.
If you are wanting to keep it fantasy, that's totally cool, but like, yeah, I would like go Eberron-y vibes with it. Would be cool. I know you said not to do D&D, but like vibes are not necessarily D&D. And Eberron I feel like is very different in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
and this is just like touchstones, right? You don't
Yeah.
have to like set it in Eberron to have the kind of like, it's that steampunkish twist.
Yeah.
To have that, or if you're doing what we would consider, I guess, a like more traditional fantasy, in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
What are the people's relationships with the Fae in this area?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think one of the things that we lose a little bit of when we're talking about world building in fantasy and science fiction and everything is to make everyone have the same beliefs.
Yeah.
And that's really obviously like so antithetical to how life works. Just like when you go to another planet, assuming that there's just going to be the one people and they're going to also be called the name of the planet
Yes.
every time. Or there's going to be two, and one of them is going to be called the name of the planet.
Yeah. I think when you're talking about Fae, like the real kind of centers of all their lore are something about like cycles. Definitely, there's usually a contrast of the courts, spring and winter, like you said, day and night, all these things. But like the timelessness of these cycles is the core of it. These ageless, eternal beings constantly repeating these things and either holding the balance or being trapped in the balance are kind of the cores of that. So I think if you stick kind of to those things, you can come up with really incredible things that still feel very true to Fae lore and the purpose of a lot of these original legends.
Yeah. And also the sense that, like, once you have beings that exist on those timelines and exist with those powers, and how they view humans changes so much, and just how they view their own lives.
Yeah.
There's a completely different kind of morality that comes along with immortality.
Yeah, absolutely. Super important. Very powerful. Don't think a lot of human lifespans is generally a very common theme. Cool. Are we set?
Okay. I think hopefully you caught your white whale.
Yeah. If you did, and if you still listen, like, write in. Tell us about it. Tell us what you think.
Or if somebody else has their white whale games.
Yes. That would be amazing. What's your, like, do you have one?
I've got one kind of.
Okay.
There's like a near and dear to my heart. But I want to run a game where we're all like second generation immigrants.
Oh, yeah.
And there are two versions of it, right? Like one that I think that's much more supernatural coded, like not coded, but supernatural, period. Where it's a monsters of the week, and then I'm able to incorporate the monsters that were brought over with all of these immigrant communities, and then another one where and also like the ways in which our monster hunters would have to adapt to defeating them, and how those monsters would have changed from being in these new communities here, or in the fictional area that they, but and how our hunters would have to adapt, like learn, if they haven't already, and adapt the solutions to dealing with these monsters to the circumstances currently. And this kind of comes from the way that my mother and the other women in her community wrote a cookbook called From Saffron to Sassafras. And it explicitly calls out like how their recipes changed based on what they could get in South Louisiana, and how they used ingredients that were used in traditional cooking there, in Cajun and Creole cooking, and incorporated them into their South Indian dishes, and then also the dishes that they adopted from the culture that they found themselves in. And I just find that kind of blending and that kind of like, okay, well, if the way that we always dealt with this demon or this, like, you know, whatever kind of monster isn't available to us now, what does that mean? What does it mean that the way that they were defeated, like, how is that changing because of the shifting circumstances and the reasoning why it is in existence here?
I love that. That's amazing.
So that's kind of where and it's something about like being in like multicultural in a situation in which you can end up in this space where you don't feel like you know anything about the culture that you grew up in, and also don't necessarily feel like you know anything about the culture that you are from either.
Yeah. It's interesting and beautiful and like such a cool idea. Now I don't want to go. I don't want to go now. That's too good.
So what is your white whale before we go?
So like right now, I think it's unfortunately it's like based on a game system that I backed on Kickstarter, and it's beautiful and it looks like it's made for me, but I'm a little bit hesitant to actually play the system because I've been reading it and I haven't seen a lot about it. Like, it seems like it might be a little bit of a hot mess. I don't know if you have a different opinion, please let me know. It's the Shield Maidens game from Mongoose. And it is amazing. It's like futuristic cyberpunk Shield Maidens. It is amazing. Like literally, like
it's made for Kimmy.
It was so cool. And it is designed for you to play like a Shield Maiden. You don't have to. But yeah, it's just it's just very cool. And I love the idea. Like I love the idea of like groups of like marginalized gender people banding together and being fucking badass. Like it's like the thing that's closest to my heart, and it's a game about that, and they have these cool glowing swords and shields, and it's just like literally it popped in my timeline like the first 30 seconds of it being a Kickstarter, and I immediately backed it without even like looking at any of it. I was like, this is the thing I want. So I want, and I've talked about it before, but I want to run a game of like marginalized gender friends through this and just like wreck a bunch of shit in a really like empowering way and be badass, like tell this story of these incredible warriors who were like using futuristic swords that glow to like save the world. I don't know. It's just fucking badass. And like I want you and Sam at the table, and like I just have like I've been picturing it since I saw the Kickstarter. But I have the books and I've kind of been reading through them. I've been looking for actual plays and stuff. I haven't found a lot, unfortunately. So the Kickstarter did really, really well, but I'm not sure how actually like playable it is. So I have to kind of see whether it's something where I want to use the actual system that they've made and developed, or if I want to like take parts of it or just the setting, and see what it does. Because it is very much based on like Norse mythology. Like the life tree is real, but also like has these cool connections to other things, and it's like futuristic. I believe like Ragnarok has come, like it's a future, but Ragnarok came, so it's kind of like this really cool premise.
I love the idea. Like you always hear, it's always up to and including Ragnarok, and never after Ragnarok.
Yeah, so I think that's it. So I don't know. I have to kind of look around a little bit more and like decide before I like jump in on actually doing like an AP of it. But yeah, It's pretty fun.
Look at how pretty.
It's so pretty. Sorry, I'm like just like showing pictures of it on the screen as we go. But yeah, it's such a pretty, beautiful game. And I love like Mongoose and what they stand for as a company and stuff like that. So honestly, if it ends up I just gave them a bunch of money for a bunch of really beautiful books that I'm just going to steal ideas from, that is also not a lose. But I would love to be able to do the system and show the system. So I have to kind of figure it out. If you have advice, let me know. All right. I think we're done. I think we're set.
So.
All right. Thank you for joining us for Season 36, Episode 3. Please support Black Armada Games, our Indie Designer of the Month, at blackarmada.com or blackarmada.itch.io. Thank you to our chat mod, James V, and to our amazing Patreons who keep us ad-free and independent and able to hire voiceover artists. And you can join their amazing ranks at happyjacks.org/Patreon. My name is Kimmy. You can find me at Golden Lasso Girl on Blue Sky is pretty much the only thing I check anymore. Or you can find my games at goldenlassogames.com. And then I'm also the person, if you talk to anybody at Happy Jacks anything, that's me. So that's me.
Hi, I'm Pooja. You can find me on the internet as Forgotten Saves. If you want to hear me play TTRPGs, you can find me on Sundays playing the Astral Circus, our D&D 2024 Spelljammer campaign. But it is a Jason game. So we're using 2d10 instead of 1d20. And I am playing a martial sorcerer that is your friendly neighborhood Thembo.
Nice.
We have a lot of fun. Adam, we have recently switched into like what we're considering our season 2. Adam is joining us. And since they are one of my favorite people in the entire world.
Yes.
I just want everyone to see how much we love each other. Like the entire table. Not just me and Madam, but the entire table. It's so good. It's all the feels, mostly love.
Yeah. So much. So if you're looking to jump in on an AP that as it happens, this is a good one to join because they've had one session so far of season 2. So if you jump in right now, you watch that before this weekend, you could watch live and not have missed like things really pertinent to this plot.
We haven't even gotten to the actual plot of the season at all. So
those of you listening will see my very not surprised face. Unsurprised. Very unsurprised. What? You got caught up in other things besides plot?
Never.
Shocking. Clutching pearls. Oh my.
We just had to welcome Adam in its style. Come on now.
All right. Thank you all. We're going to leave you with a song because that's the thing we do at this podcast, which I remember totally. Today we're leaving with a song called The Company of Captain Black, which is a song written by the world famous Poxy Boggards about a pirate who's not always that great of a pirate, but we have a pirate. We seem to be having a pirate theme today. So we're talking about pirates.
Pirate and ice cream theme.
Pirate and ice cream. Oh yeah. I was looking, I was like, I couldn't find an ice cream song. I have to write an ice cream song now, just in case we ever have an ice cream game again.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
At Tavern and Inn we drink our ale, though the night be filled with a dark black veil. We stand as one, no foe will attack this company of Captain Black.
From the ports of London to the shores of Spain, to Hispaniola to the silver train, the sea so deep to distant lands, for glory we fight, for honor we stand.
Our ship set sail in 83 with 40 men in our company. Our hold was filled with powder and shot, Spanish and Dutch we'd sink the lot.
From the ports of London to the shores of Spain, to Hispaniola to the silver train, the sea so deep to distant lands, for glory we fight, for honor we stand.
5 weeks out from port were we, from bow and stern we saw but sea. Mutiny rose, Black took a stand, that was when we spotted land.
Land ho! I claim this land in the name of Her Majesty, Elizabeth, Queen of England. God save the Queen!
Are you tough, man? You small one.
Back on the boats, boys.
what
Back on the
happens
boats. From the ports of London to the shores of Spain, to Hispaniola to the silver train, the sea sea so deep to distant lands. For glory we fight, for honor we stand. So south and west our sails did fly, with the charge to London for resupply. Our ship was sunk by wave and gale, so here we sit and drink our ale. From the ports of London to the shores of Spain, to Hispaniola to the silver trade, to sea so deep to